I really am not trying to attack anybody. I just think it was extremely unfair, and I wanted to, I thought this lady is such of high quality and high standards that someone would question it. It infuriated me, it really did. And, you know, hopefully we get someone bigger and better on zoning, you know. That's, you know, I'm for pro-economic development. I'd like to see another individual who's also pro-economic development. We cannot stop growing the city. There's only two ways we bring in money: by taxes and by economic development. If you don't bring in economic development, the police just got a 3% raise. Our budget's going up 3% next year, 70% of the budget. And then because police and fire and SEIU. So you either keep taxing everybody, or we have economic development projects. You take a lot, an empty lot, that was taking in $800 a year in taxes, the Benner lot, and it's now on the corner of 3rd and New, in the middle of the business district, it's now paying $280,000 a year in taxes. Same thing with the Pearl development down the street, 510 Flats. Empty lot, it was stone and gravel. They developed it, $28 million project, bringing in $290,000 a year in taxes. Not one home, low income or middle income house was knocked down. And Ms. Negron, I am with you. If you need any help in trying to establish any type of headway in getting low-income housing, I'm all ears. I did check with some people, and if my data is wrong, I apologize, but there's more low-income housing on the south side than anywhere in the city of Bethlehem. There's no place in the city of Bethlehem where there's more low-income housing other than Pembroke and Marvine housing projects. And with the new development over there, not one building was knocked down, not one. So I don't know where, you know, this is part of this fear-mongering again, that there's, you know, a lack of low-income housing over it. The whole south side is considered low-income housing. But I'm willing to have the debate and the open discussion, and I'd be more than happy. I don't know if you know that, Ms. Van Wert, I know you know this. She was on the committee, the ad hoc committee for the Polk Street garage, and the discussion came up with Mr. Perucci that they wanted him to build so many or give so many of the units, the rental units, for low-income housing. And I guess his response was, hey, I can't build it for $200 a square foot and rent out for $50 a square foot. I can't do it. And that's more of a government duty, right? I think that's what the discussion was, is if the city is going to...
You should probably check with Alicia about all of that instead of talking about it here.
No, I know, but you were there also, but my point in saying this is that his opinion was, I can't do that financially. That's more of something that has to be a partnership between the government, the city, the county, the state, the federal government, and developers. Developers aren't, you know, is anybody in here want to go build a house for free for someone? You know, put your house up for mortgage. You got a beautiful home, you know, and help out, you know, but you can't expect someone, you can't spend someone else's money and force them to develop projects that they don't want to do. And I think that's a partnership, and I'd be more than willing to help and work with all of you in trying to find grants or some type of assistance from the state and local governments so that we can get more low-income housing on the south side. Thank you very much.
Mr. Reynolds? Just one thought, or one statement, is that as far as the appointment is concerned, most of what Mr. Callahan said having to do with me and my opinion on it is not accurate.
I'd like to hear your opinion. Let's have the debate. You can't just make that statement without...
You just talked for 40 minutes.
Well, go ahead. I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
Ms. Ritter called me, and Mr. Donches called me, and I had questions for both of them. And Ms. Ritter asked me about what my questions were, and I had a conversation with her, and I'm not sure if Ms. Ritter had relayed that conversation with you or not.
She did.
Mr. Donches had called me as well. I said if it came up that I had some questions, and that was the end of that conversation. Just a couple other comments, I think, and one is that Mr. Callahan talked about, you know, money I have raised throughout the years, and I think this is probably my 12th year on City Council. And I think I've probably, I was just adding up the numbers in my head, probably in all the campaigns combined, you know, raised over $200,000 from a lot of different places. I also think, and you probably, I mean, clearly spend a lot of time thinking about and looking into things I do or I may say.
I just know from the top of his head.
Mr. Callahan, like I said, we listened for a very long time for you to talk about a variety of topics.
Go ahead.
I understand that it's going to go ahead. And I think if you looked at my 2019 campaign finance report compared to other finance reports in the past, it looks a lot different. And I think as the years have gone on, one thing that I understand is the perception that we all face. And I don't think it's just a city council or government thing, but you know, I've certainly spent time, you know, now this is the end of my 12th year on city council, and I think as I've gotten older and I've been in this room more often, that I think that it used to be to me that successful you know, initiatives here, we get the majority of city council, or you get the votes, and I think that perception was something that I didn't always necessarily pay attention to, as far as how we necessarily carry ourselves, how we talk about ourselves, how we view ourselves, how we view each other. And the one thing that I've learned over the years is that you know, the bridges that we have and the connections that we have here. And I bet you if you looked up here, and I won't put anybody on the spot, but I'm guessing over the years that maybe some, if not all of the people up here have chosen not to vote for me in different elections. But I don't take what I think is people's personal feelings about me and let that get in the way of my professional relationships. And I think that meeting after meeting, we sit here during new business as Mr. Callahan is very angry and very frustrated.
I'm not angry, I'm frustrated.
Mr. Callahan, please, as I said, I think I deserve the opportunity to speak. And, you know, I've watched, as I think everybody has over the past couple of years, several things that have made you frustrated, passionate, fired up, whatever word you want to say. And the response, rather than having a respectful, merit-based disagreement, often becomes personal. And you may not think it's personal. That might not be the way that you perceive it. I can tell you that that's the way many people do perceive it. And it is not the way that things are done here successfully. And I think as those bridges, and sometimes, Mr. Callahan, you say things that I'm like, huh. I'm like, I definitely agree with what he's saying. Sometimes I think, I definitely disagree with what he's saying. What I almost always think is I disagree with the way that he's saying it. And I think that the way that you have had conversations in the past about different issues that have obviously made you very, you know, frustrated and angry, I think at different times, I think I can say frustrated and angry, has led to bridges being burned in those personal relationships, that when things come up that, once you like such as this situation, that makes you very passionate, the personal relationships are not only not there to have those merit-based conversations, but then the response is more and more what people would feel are personal attacks, assumptions about what people think, assumptions about what people would say. And I think I have a different personality than some people in this room, but I think that you would probably agree with some self-reflection that it's not a successful recipe to avoid these situations in the future where you feel as if people aren't taking you seriously. And I think, and I'm only going to speak for myself generally, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, that over my 12 years on City Council, I have literally grown up a lot as far as getting here when I was 25, and now I'm 38 years old, and understanding that the way we carry ourselves, and I will use, Dr. Van Wert as an example. Before Dr. Van Wert got on City Council, I think her and I disagreed on a lot of things as far as policy are concerned. I would say that I think we still probably don't agree on a lot. But I look at any conversation or any working with her as far as having those disagreements on the merits in a respectful manner leads future conversations to be able to be productive, and it's more likely that we will find a way to necessarily agree or disagree. The city is changing, the world is changing, we need to view ourselves, how we carry ourselves, how we talk about things differently. And I think that sometimes in these meetings, and I'm going to be honest since you asked for honesty, that it is sad and it's disappointing and it's difficult to watch the way that I think that you portray and share your feelings. And I think sometimes you're looking for a response, and I'm not going to play into that, or I'm not going to respond, because I think that as a body we're better than that, and I don't think that that's the way that we necessarily should move forward. And you just asked for my opinion, and that's my 2 cents as far as how I feel about a lot of these issues. Thank you, Mr. Waldron.